Now we are here at the RDS in Dublin for the Virgin Media Business Tech Connect Live. It's an event here, free event, that's happening here all day. Thousands of business people here. And we're joined by Danny McCoy, the CEO of IBEC, and Kieran Hart, who's the General Manager of Uber. Good morning to you. And Danny, you've just been speaking here, and we are at the IBEC stand taking care of business in Ireland. So is that what IBEC are doing? Is that what that's what you do?
Yeah, that's what the day job is. We've about 7,500 corporate members, and so we represent them with government, with media, international agencies, and so it's really vibrant. You know, I'm about 30 years professional life. I've never seen the Irish economy stronger, with more opportunity.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we everybody knows about the downturn, and I know there certainly is this confidence that is back. But is it back to that? You're saying that you've never seen it as strong?
It exceeds the Celtic Tiger.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not in every sector yet, but you can see the underpin is going through the economy. Like, people are very sceptical about the growth rates, these GDP growth rates. They're based on huge corporate migration into Ireland. It's like an oil find if we can tap into it. You know, corporate tax revenue in Ireland is nearly double what it was 2 years ago. So the resources are there. You see AIB being potentially sold off. If we were ambitious, we can handle those threats that are coming from Brexit, for instance, which is a really significant issue.
Well, companies in Ireland must be worried about that. Like, everybody must be worried about that. Like, is it going to be a hard Brexit? Is it a soft Brexit? And then you're hearing different things every day. So what's your take on it?
It is by far the biggest thing that's ever happened Ireland in a couple of generations. But the good news is we're going into a strong position. You know, if this happened to us 7 or 8 years ago, it'd be really devastating.
Could this stop the whole growth then? Like, you're sort of saying this phenomenal growth, this phenomenal resurgence that we're having. Could this literally halt it?
It could, because Britain is by far, for domestic Ireland, the most significant market. For our small and medium enterprises, that's where they mainly export to. So it's a huge threat, but if we get it right, and I think we have the capacity to do it, we can be both within the EU27 and have a strong relationship with the UK. But it's up to us to actually hammer that out in Brussels. We've got to be on the side of
negotiations.
It's in our interest.
Yeah.
If they get a good deal, it'll be a good deal for us as well.
Kieran, good morning to you. We're talking about, we're literally just talking about Uber in Ireland and the Voom bus behind us. And I was saying, if this had been pitched to Richard Branson years ago, I'm sure he would have snapped it up, because it's such an amazing idea. And an idea that obviously couldn't have happened without technology. And that's what it's all about now. We're sort of saying Ireland is this tech hub now.
Absolutely. It's a really simple idea where we use private cars that are already out there on the roads for public good. We allow people to connect with cars using their smartphones. So you're right, it couldn't have happened without that convergence of smartphones with GPS technology and with apps like Uber. So we're really lucky that we came across that idea at that right time.
Now, I mean, Ireland, when you're in the US, everybody uses Uber. There's a different kind of Uber here in Ireland, and that must be quite frustrating for you.
Yeah, it's frustrating.
What's the difference here?
It's also a huge opportunity. At the moment, we're confined to only working with taxis. There's only 20,000 taxis across the whole country. There's 2 million private cars. So if you start thinking about if we use more of those 2 million private cars to connect people...
But the taxmen will say there's not enough work for them as it stands. Well, you get into a taxi every day and the taxman saying, oh, it's very quiet today.
Our mission is to create a service where people don't need to own their own private cars. So anyone who thinks that 20,000 cars spread out across the country is going to provide a reliable enough service that you can give up owning your own cars are kidding themselves.
Yeah.
Taxis are the most efficient. They'll always sit at ranks. They'll always have access to bus lanes. It's not the same service as private cars and what you see in the States and in many other modern sort of very progressive cities.
And do you see it growing in Ireland?
It has to. I mean, this is a solution that's going to help us cut congestion, cut pollution. It's going to get rid of this whole amount of parking spots, which, you know, litter our cities. So there's too much benefit to cities.
Danny, we're talking about Brexit there, and also a lot of businesses would be quite fearful of the corporation tax. I mean, because we have that beneficial corporation tax, and then you have Trump coming out and they're cutting theirs. Is it going to affect businesses here? Is it going to affect inward business coming in the future?
It is a factor, but you first of all have to be profitable. You know, and going back to what Kieran said, it is a frustration that we are still living in a kind of an old narrative, not allowing people like Uber to get on with it and give what consumers want. And also, unfortunately for the taxi drivers, we'll have driverless cars fairly soon as well. So there's huge disruptive technologies out there. Tax taxation is one of those disruptors, but I think we're on the right side of that. I think we've shown that this is a strong country. It's not just based on taxes, but it is based on taxes as well as talent and just being open to globalization. So Ireland's in an absolutely sweet spot. That's why it's frustrating that we're still dealing with old narrative and not dealing with new technologies.
Can I ask you both, and very quickly, before we wrap up, like in an event like this today, Danny, if there's a young guy looking in today, he has an idea or he's a small business, any advice for them?
Well, certainly it's a good time to do it because, the world literally is your oyster, but you won't be in the same career all your life. Yeah. So, get those kind of cross talents and network. Come to things like Tech Connect. Be out there, be confident. Don't be at home and be shy. Get out and network. And Ireland's a great country to do that in.
And these things are so important still, aren't they? Even though with all the technology, actually shaking hands with somebody at something like this means an awful lot.
People matter, and that's where the value added is. Technology will take a lot of the drudgery out of it, but what people value is human interaction and human service.
And Kieran, you'd say the same.
Oh, absolutely. And what a great opportunity to come to the Voom bus and pitch that next billion-dollar app idea.
And meet Richard Branson.
Thank
you both very much for coming along this morning. We're going to take a quick break. Thanks very much.